And welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Louis Bright Raven. I am your host, Louis Bright Raven, 28-year professional writer, illustrator, and editor of comics, science fiction, fantasy, and role-playing games. This is day 4 of Booktober 2020, where I do comic book reviews every day for the month instead of my usual once-a-week programming. Last night I did day 3 a little late, and I forgot to mention some things. So we covered a book called Starside 1 through 3, and I special ordered those from the creators on Kickstarter, I believe it was. And I also got 2 prints with those books, and those are the prints. I'm going to go ahead and show those to you real quick. They're very nice, well done pieces. One is a black and white market scape in an alien town, and then the color one is of a character named Riggs, who's the alien. So those are really cool additions to what I had ordered from them. Thank you again, Dylan Klein, Lane Brett Schneider, and Jordan Chow. Ted Davies Artistry says hello, as does John Morris. Hello, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get into our questions for the day. Our first question is from Miguel Esser from Illinois. Are you going to also do a Drawtober, Inktober type event this year? Hadn't planned on it at first, but the more I think about it, yeah, I probably will at some point. I'm thinking of doing something where I do, just on the weekends, I'll do like multiple sketch cards. So on starting the 7th, I think, what is it? I guess it'll be the 10th and the 11th, the 17th, the 18th, the 24th, 25th, and then 30 and 31st probably is what I'll probably do. More details on that as I get things settled, figured out for the week, okay? Next question. Angela asks, will you show some of the books or comics you've worked on in the past during Booktober? That's a good question, fair question. I can try. I'll have to see what I can dig up out of the archives. There are stuff I could show, but it's also kind of like there's been changes in relationships with people, and I'm not sure I want to promote some of the stuff I've worked on in the past on the channel anymore like I used to, but we'll see. Next question. Santos from Round Lake, Illinois asks, are you going to stop doing reviews on Quoth the Raven after Booktober altogether? Because that's the impression I got from your comments on the regular podcast last week. No, I'm not going to stop doing reviews altogether. I'm just not going to do a full segment that's going to take a half hour to 45 minutes of that time. Because one of the problems I think that people don't watch the regular podcasts that are too long, and they get bored and they leave for different segments. And one of the segments they leave a lot on is right at the point I'm doing reviews. So I figure if I'm going to do reviews, I'll do them short segments, maybe 2 or 3 books at the most, and not every week or not every episode. Okay. Next question. Smart Alec asks, why don't you own Marvel Comics post 2002? In other words, published after 2002. I know I've seen you do sketch covers of Marvel titles. Don't you read those books? I'm calling you out on this. Okay, call me out. Guess what? Yes, I do have a bunch of Marvel comics that have blank covers. No, I have never even opened a damn one of them and looked at them. That's how disinterested I am in Marvel product. But this is Booktober. So guess what? Starting tomorrow, Monday, I will start reviewing Marvel books. Okay? But be forewarned. Be careful what you ask for. Because to my disinterest and my disdain for Marvel, from my own personal experience, I can't promise you I'm going to give anybody any decent reviews as far as, good ratings. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But starting tomorrow, we will do some Marvel reviews. Next question. I think that's the last one actually for this week, for this day. So yes, it is. So if you have questions, email them to QuothTheRaven, lbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR questions, and please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. While you're at it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons on the bottom right corner. Over here, down there. On the YouTube page. And we will get into our reviews for the day. We will start with Barbaric Tales #1 from publisher Pyramid Comics. The writers and artists are Mark Panacea, Ragne Nace, and Bill Cavalier. The genre is fantasy. It was released in 1986 for $1.70 cover price. And what it's about is there are 3 different stories featured. Panacea's Warriors 3 is fairly well done artistically. The story is average at best. Basically, it's the 3 of them going after a witch who can control the dead and other things, and they fight the monsters and kill her. Not much of a plot there, but it's there. Downlog by Nace was the strongest work of the 3 stories artistically. I hadn't heard of him before that I could recall, so I'm going to find out if he continued his career past this series elsewhere. The last story, unfortunately, from Bill Cavalier, feels like a half-completed fanzine level effort and really hurt the look of the overall book. If I had been judging based on the first 2 issues alone, it would have received a 4 to 4.5 star rating. Instead, it only receives 3.5 stars. One of the big things that people might recognize that name, Mark Panacea, that's because he would go on to become an editor for Viz, Malibu, and Marvel, and is a senior editor with Marvel today. The book is recommended for ages 15 and up, and again, I gave it a 3.5 star rating. Let's take a look at the art. This is Panacea's work. Again, this is 1986. It's got some good tonal use. One of the knights is fighting off ninjas. He gets zapped by the Tempra, the witch, and then the other 2 knights come in. It's not bad for what it is. And this is Nace's art, which I thought was really nice stuff for the Dalmog storyline. It's not bad. Again, this is, we're talking about stuff that's like, 86 is 34, 35 years ago. It's pretty standard stuff for that era. And, he's got good shading, good tone. His anatomy is pretty strong for what it is. I mean, some of his women are a little bit too muscular, I think. But then again, we are in barbarian land, so I guess you could have muscular women as well. So, not bad at all. Our next book is Pipette and Dudley, a charming dog adventure comic. The publisher is Shortbox UK. We're going to see a lot of Shortbox UK because I got a big box from them, and I'm going to cover all the books I got in that box in this episode. The writer-artist is Charlotte May. I didn't really know what genre to put this in, and it was released in August of 2020. And what it's about is Pipette is a popular princess whose best friend is her dog, Dudley. But when Pipette starts dating a prince, she neglects her dog, and Dudley runs away from home. Can Pipette find her best friend before he meets a horrible fate? It's a comic that artistically isn't my cup of tea, so to speak. Or, stylistic, not my thing. And the storyline is pretty simplistic, but the creator does a great job with it, and it would be appropriate for girls in middle grade to high school. And this is the book. It's a little bit uncut, like a 5x7, fairly thick book. It's bound in a way I didn't want to try and pull it out and scan it, so we'll flip through it a little bit. As you can see, it's different style that really isn't. It's not bad. It's just different. And just because it's not my personal preferred type of art doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, it serves its purpose for what the author is trying to do. And I think it does a very good job and would appeal to, again, younger female readers. Monster sodas. Product placement in your comics. And that's when she meets the friends that she ends up being interested in. And the dog is kind of like, And like I said, he spends a lot of time, or she spends a lot of time with him, and the dog gets upset, packs a suitcase and leaves. And she has to go hunt him down. So it's okay. It's a decent book. 4 stars for it. Let's go on to our next one. Is Dead End Job for Ghosts. Again, the publisher is Shortbox K. The writer-artist is Amandir Dhaliwal. The genre is comedy, and it was released in August 2020. And what it's about is Priya Yoshi just died in a car accident as a test driver. She's 16 when she dies. When she comes to, she learns that there are many jobs for the dead. She becomes an Uber driver of sorts, driving what normal humans think is an electrical AI car. There are plenty of humorous bits throughout. Very funny book, highly recommended. I give it 4.5 stars for ages 13 and up. Now, again, ghosts going up to heaven and stuff like that. It is a black and white book. The cemetery job fair. You can see all the graves. It's cute. It says this is the comedy mostly, and this is the scene. It starts off with she was sideswiped by the black car, and both she and the she was taking her driver's test. And she wakes up in the cornfield, so to speak, her spirit does, and realizes that both she and her driver tester got killed by the side slam. And then his spirit comes up and goes, "Don't blame yourself. You were so close to passing." He thinks I'm upset about the driver's test. And now he's actually telling her what to do if she's in an accident. Ordinarily, you would pull over and put your hazard lights on. Little things like that. And this is what she would have looked like as a living person. It says bastard because the guy who hit her took off and left the bodies and everything behind, of course. Then she gets introduced to Spectre Works, which is this company that hires recently departed and gives them jobs. And like I said, she becomes sort of an Uber driver. Most of the ghosts operate what seem to be electronic components that are non-moving, or non. People aren't working on them, but it's actually the ghosts making the objects work. They do other jobs as well. So it's very interesting. Um, I really have enjoyed this for it because I'll show you right here. The news is here. They're calling it the future, but it's automation coming for. Is it automation coming for your job? And they're talking about how they have the checkouts at the grocery store, and it's really a old person still working there at the cash register. That's why it takes so long. It's just so slow, right? Yeah. And the best part is he cuts back, and the reporter that was his automation coming over your job has now been replaced by a reporter bot. And just in that little cutaway segue. So little things like that in there all throughout. It's very funny, amusing book. Let's go on to our next one. Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, number 202. DC Comics is the publisher. Writer is Stephen Englehart. Joe Staton is the penciler. Mark Farmer is the anchor on the interior. The cover's by Joe Staton and Bruce Patterson with the inks. The colorist is Tony Tolan. The genre is science fiction superhero. It was released originally in July of '86. Forget it, green guys. Nothing can stop Truck. I don't know where they came up with that character, but it's like if you took the Juggernaut and put Optimus Prime over the Juggernaut, that's what that's supposed to be. It looks hilarious in the comic itself. But anyway, it's 75 cents cover price. It was one of the books I got when John and I went to Heroes and Dragons recently. And what it's about is various Green Lanterns are now on Earth. There's like hundreds of them. Many different subplots going on. Englehart has 5 different plots and 8 different GL characters that he's keeping track of in just this single issue. And yet this reader had no problem following along in the middle of a story arc. It's not even the beginning of a story arc. It's in the middle of a story arc. John Stewart, Kilowog, and Salak, those are the 3 characters you see on the cover, fight against Dr. Polaris and his pals, including Truck. Hal Jordan goes back to Ferris Corp to find it's been taken over and that Carol Ferris is seemingly dead. Arisia and Kat Matoy deal with whatever odd ailment Arisia is suffering from. Parts of her body are disappearing from sight inexplicably. Chip, the squirrel GL, or he looks like a squirrel, he's an alien, but anyway, he fights against the villain from his home planet who is a wizard who has come to Earth, and all the rest of them kind of join up and help Chip out as well. So there's just some of the stuff that's going on. There's other stuff going on in this comic at the same time. Ages 10 and up, rating 4 out of 5 stars. Let's take a look at the art. One of the characters is Salak shooting up his friend Kilowog and speeding up whatever it is that the enemy is doing to Kilowog. And then there's another villain with Dr. Polaris, and they're basically he finally gets Kilowog free and helps them defeat the enemy. Truck is over here on the right hand middle panel along the side, but that's no big deal. But overall, they had defeated the enemy. And this is the scene where Hal gets back to Ferris Corp, and he meets one of his friends, Tom, and finds out that Tom is now, risen up through the ranks and has a new deal. So he finds out that the guy that was criminal and should have been in jail is now running Ferris, like I said. and there's other things going on. And as those two leave, it says, "Psst, Jordan, psst." And what it is it's Carol Ferris's father coming out of the shadows. He's old and looking like a homeless bum, and tells him what's going on and says, "You find my daughter because I can't believe she's dead," type thing. So it's interesting. I like Joe Staten's art on this, and it's cool. How you guys hearing me on the sound? Is everything okay on the sound? Because I had some problems with my speakers, and I don't know if that's also affecting my microphone. I forgot to ask. Anyone? Okay, John says it sounds good. All right, thanks, John. Just want to make sure. Let's go ahead and do the next book then, and that's Interim. Again, this is another Shortbox UK book. I got all these from a company called Shortbox UK, and they are in. Of course, they're over in the UK. You can find them on Kickstarter, and I got all these through a Kickstarter book order. The creator is Alyssa Chan, and the genre is existentialism. Again, released in August 2020. And what it's about is a star crashes to the ground in a city and reshapes itself into a human form and meets a talking raven. This human, star human, traverses the city incessantly, trying to find others to no avail, and then tries to find a means out of the city to no avail. In fact, they often die trying and keep getting reborn in the place they started, like a phoenix rising, with the raven being their everlasting companion. Eventually, however, they do find something new to them, a ladder that climbs up straight to the heavens. The human climbs their way up to the top and passes into the next dimension, ready to evolve to the next stage, only they say they aren't ready, and the entities on the other side turn them back into a star, and the raven takes the star in their beak and returns them to the sky. Rating at 5 stars. It's a very interesting series or book, and this is the book. It's got gold leaf lettering, and that figure, that is actually gold leaf print. On the back of it, there's another gold leaf stamp as well. Very nice thick cardstock cover. I think it's a 5 by 6 book. You see, it's all full color inside, and that's when the star crashes to Earth as the raven watches it. And as you can see, the star reshapes into a human, and the raven says, "Hello." Finally, nice to see you. It's nice to see anyone. Look, I'll try to explain. And he's like, "Forget it, I'm out of here." And he starts running away. Something crumbles and he falls down and dies, and he gets reborn, and he gets right back to where he was starting at. And he goes through this multiple times until he accepts the raven, and they start figuring out to traverse the whole city by themselves together to try and find the next station. And he asks the raven, "Well, can't you get out?" He's like, "No, can't do it." Don't know why. I'm stuck here too. And they just keep going through different stages, and they keep rebuilding. When it gets to the other dimension, they explains to him they're ready to evolve him to the next stage of existence, and he says, "I'm not ready." And he's like, take it away, take all this away. So they take it away and take him from the human form. Made him a star, and there's the raven to take him back to the sky. Really did enjoy the book. Gave it a 5-star rating. Cannot recommend this more highly. Probably end up being one of my favorite books of the year, actually. Next book is Lady Vampre, number 0. Unfortunately, it's from Blackout Comics. The writer-artist is BARBARIC, who signed the book, as you can see. It has a Del Barris back cover. Horror action genre, released in 1995 with $2.75 cover price. And what it's about is Angelique Vampre is a woman who is stalked by a vampire who's been murdering people. Duh. She's bitten, and she's told that she must kill her attacker, or a transformation to a vampire herself will be complete. Well, the story is, well, dumb as rocks. But for $1, Simon the Creator, I went ahead and got it when I was over at Heroes and Dragons with John. But the truth is, I have zero interest in this concept. See what happens next. It is rated for 15 and up because it's got some risque type stuff in it a little bit, and so it's 2 stars. I really don't recommend the book, to be honest. Outspace is another book from Short Box UK. The creator is Nuria Martinez. The genre is science fiction romance, released August 2020. It's about Erin, who's a skater girl and comics nerd whose friend introduces her to a video game dating app called OUTSPACE. When she signs up, she meets with an actual alien as her game and dating partner. She winds up going on a date with the alien in outer space even. But her date blows her off when it comes time to be at an OUTSPACE live event. Erin goes to the event with her friend and their OUTSPACE partner, only to discover a terrible truth. Rated for ages 15 and up, and I give it 3 out of 5 stars. This is this book. It's kind of a, I don't want to call it a rudimentary artwork because I don't know what her tools are, what she's doing. It looks like she's actually drawing this with a mouse in the computer. Because there's a lot of shaky lines, a lot of squiggly lines. It looks like that kind of thing. It's done with intent. So when it's done with intent, I don't want to say, well, she's a crappy artist, because there's different context of different things. She's talking to her friend about OUTSPACE there, and you get to find, a dating app, like I said. There's the things you can be. You can choose to be a human, alien, or an android. What weapons you get to have, all kinds of stuff in the app. She skipped the tutorial. If she had not skipped the tutorial, she might not have gotten in trouble, but she skipped it. This is where she's making her, what do you want to call it, avatar for the game. And this is what her alien partner looks like a fish head type being with a water tank that she can breathe water and stuff like that. And she talks to her friend Iris, who introduced her to the game. And they go to the comic shop and get some comics and talk about their girlfriends, so to speak. Overall, it's not a bad book. Unfortunately, I don't want to spoil the ending for you. She goes to the party, and her friend that supposed to be her partner, blew her off, is there with someone else, of course. And how she reacts to that is quite interesting. Um, it could have used a little bit more of an ending to it. Um, I think the author kind of shorted themselves. They could have done a little bit more with the ending. That's why I gave it 3 out of 5. But still, pretty good book. Our next book is She Would Feel the Same by Shortbox UK again. The creator is Emma Hunsinger. Genre is slice of life and relationships. August of 2020 release. It's about Chloe and Phoebe, who break up after 7 years of being in a relationship together. It ended amicably, but Chloe is in a perpetual dismissal of the event while her subconscious keeps her from moving on with her life. She goes through a series of a lot of bad dates, and ultimately, when her health takes a turn for the worse, will Phoebe return to her friend, or will Chloe suffer through her days alone? I recommend it for ages for 16 and up, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And this is that book. The artwork is a little bit, again, not my cuppa, but it serves its purpose. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I know a lot of people are going to be, the homophobes, the comic skaters are going to hate this book. Take it as it doesn't have to be two women in a relationship. It can be a man and a woman relationship. The point of the relationship and what is going on can happen between men and a woman, two women or two men. So get over what you see on the page and get to the point of what is the heart of the story, is what I have to say about that. Because the story is pretty strong for what it is. The guy sitting there is describing her relationship and how they broke up. And he's like, how can you not have any feelings about what happens after 7 years? You must be a robot. And she has a robot head. Or somebody must have been a rat. And so now she's got a rat head. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it's interesting. They talk about why they broke up, which really they don't. They just woke up one day and said, you know what? We don't be together, do we? No, we don't. So they packed up their belongings and left and went their separate ways. Never really explained why. And I think that's part of why the Chloe character denies everything, because she really doesn't know why they broke up herself. Ultimately, though, she ends up getting bronchitis, severe bronchitis case, whether it's from smoking too much, as in depicted on the cover, or maybe she even has lung cancer. They're not really sure. And there's nobody there for her. And, well, I'm not going to say whether or not Phoebe does show up at the end of the story or not. But it's a cool ending. And, it's worth the 4 stars. Mm-hmm. Our next book is Teen Titans Spotlight number 4, Jericho featured, 75 cents. Publishers DC Comics, writer Marv Wolfman, artist Ross Andrew and Murray Malstead, with Adrian Roy coloring. The covers by Dennis Cowan and Rick Magyar. The genre is spy superhero, and it was released in November of '86. And what it's about, smack dab in the middle of the story arc. Anyway, Jericho, Joe Wilson, was an ex-lover, faked her death with the help of Adrian, his ex-secret agent mother. Now, years later, she has come out of hiding because her new husband has been kidnapped by a terrorist group, and she needs Jericho's help to get him back. This is not Wolfman's best effort by any means. It's just kind of there, But being in the middle of a story arc does not help for me. Recommended for ages 13 and up. They gave it 3 stars because it's an average comic of that era. If I'd known it was middle of the arc, I might not have bought it. I bought other Teen Titans Spotlight storylines, and they were all self-contained, so I thought this was a self-contained story. It was a little bit threw me off a little bit. So anyway, yeah, it's okay. Let's take a look at the art. And this is where she's explaining why she faked her death and can you help me? And he does the sign language for yes, because for people who don't know who Jericho is, he is a deaf and dumb character, not a deaf character. He is a mute character. He had his vocal cords severed and he can't speak, so he does sign language. The people who are looking for her husband, a ninja clan, is saying, leave it be. The guy who actually did kidnap the guy is also is somewhere else now and is fighting opponents before the ninjas come back and say, we've given the warning to your enemies. And this is another scene where Jericho takes possession of another enemy, which is what his superpower is. He can lock with your eyes and take over your body and possession. He gets stopped. He gets a grazing bullet shot or wound or whatever against his head. He's knocked out. His mother brings him back, and she's like, "Well, no, your girlfriend has been taken, but I'll find out where she is, and we'll get her back." And that's where she's talking to her the father now. I don't know why that coloration went wonky there. It did, but I don't know if it faded out in the printing or if that was a printing error in the actual comic. And I believe that is it for our reviews this week. Or today, I should say, not this week. I'm so used to doing it on a weekly. You'll have to forgive me. So, with that being said, if you want to reach me on Facebook, it is at lewis.brightraven, at deviantart.com/brightraven. Here on YouTube, Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven on Facebook. You already got that one. You want to talk to me on email, it's quoththeravenlbr72@gmail.com. If you can't reach me there, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. The regular podcast airs on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for watching, and we will be back tomorrow around 1:30ish with the next day's worth of reviews. I don't know exactly what we're going to review, other than I know there will be some Marvel included. Okay? So have a good day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.